put it in the other place.
You look a little blurry, Shampriya, Didi. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should have put it in another spot. Oh well, too late. I don't know why it's like that.
Because
Okay, we are live.
the background light. She can pull the curtains.
You could also maybe clean your camera.
I think it's because of the light from the window.
No, the curtains are closed. I've got them closed.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Oh,
Srila Gurudeva Vani Vaishnavi Prachar program. I think it's the 6th program, is it? Navalatika Didi?
7.
Okay, seventh program. Okay. All right, and we have the great good fortune of welcoming Shampriya Didi from Canada this week and Kamala Didi from UK. So it'd be nice if, I think Kamala Didi says Sudevi Didi is ready to do a bhajan. You there?
Yeah.
Can you pin her? Is it possible?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Okay. What bhajan are you sing?
Oh,
Hi, Sudevi Didi.
yeah.
Hi, how you go? Okay. Can you pin her? Because
Yeah, it's already pinned her.
oh, I don't know. I'm just seeing you. I'm not seeing her. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Well, David Diddy. Thank you so much. It was so lively. Right. Quite amusing backing vocals there. Very nice. Okay, so before we begin, anyway, I'll just say my pranam mantras. Om Ginat Mandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshumali Tamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalparubhyascha Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Hemapya Divya Chavishandraya Tasmama Prema Sapadaya Jitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Shama Sundara Sikanda Shekara Smarahasa Murali Manoha Varikara Mam Kripa Nidhi Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Karu Tavaya Vashmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vignaya Vate Tvam Nayamam Charanantike Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Shiptapschakamari Tarangamaje Kripa Maitvam Shavanam Papana Vinde Namaste Chavana Ravindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shiko Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, my Dandavat pranams to my beloved Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, to all our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all assembled devotees here. Dandavat pranams. to everyone. So we have the great good fortune, like I said before, of welcoming Sharma Priya Didi and Kamala Didi, who will both be speaking today. So I don't know who wants to speak first. Sharma Priya Didi or Kamala Didi? Would you like?
Shama Priya today.
Sharma Priya Didi, would you like to speak first?
Sure,
So,
I
okay,
I can speak first if you want.
great. And Navalatika Didi will be introducing you. And I just wanted to say on a personal note that I've known Sharma Priya Didi for many years, I think since 1996 or before, actually, it was before. It was maybe
That's right.
1992 or 3, I don't know.
No, I think 95.
Was
maybe.
it 95, 1995? Okay. Yeah, because I met you at Bhaktivedanta Manor, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I remember having a deep conversation with you there
Yeah.
about gurus. Do you remember
That's
that?
right. Yeah. Right before we met Gurudeva. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm so happy that you've come today and you'll be speaking on the reasons for Mahaprabhu's descent. That's it. So Navalatika Didi, yeah, can introduce.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all. I'm always feel so blessed to be in such a wonderful Sangha with my seniors, God sister, that allows me to do some service. And please, the devotees who are watching through Facebook Live, also feel free to leave your questions on the comments so we can read here after Didi finish. So I will be introducing Shamapriya Didi. She met the devotees 1986 in Vancouver, Canada, and spent a few years in the temple in Sydney. She traveled extensively in India. On one trip, she went on Brajamandal Parikrama and prayed for a bona fide guru. A few months later, she met Srila Gurudeva in England. Then she went with Gurudev on his first tour in America, and she was initiated in Bhajar 1996. She traveled with Gurudev on many tours for at least 5 years. The main service Gurudev asked her to do was writing and directing plays showing Tattva and Siddhanta. He also asked her to give lectures and help others to come to him. So, and she will be speaking on the reasons for Mahaprabhu descent. And welcome, Didi. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
I just, before you start, I just remembered that actually, I think it was my first play practically that we did for Gurudev. You wrote that play about the reasons for Mahaprabhu's descent, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, and we performed that. Where was it?
In Hawaii.
Hawaii first, yeah. Gurudev really liked that. He loved that subject, so yeah. Okay.
Om Jnana Timarandhyasya Jnana Salakya Chakshur Milatanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Tinamne. Yes, that's the reason that I chose this subject, because it was so dear to Gurudev. It's actually the crux of Gaudiya Vaishnavism is why Lord Chaitanya came. Who is he and why did he come? Can you all hear me? Audio is good? You can all hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So first I want to establish who Lord Chaitanya is. We all know this verse, Namo Nama Varanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tushe Namaha. So this establishes the name form. The form is having the beautiful luster, golden luster of Srimati Radhika, the complexion of Radhika, the qualities being very magnanimous and merciful, and the pastimes of distributing Krishna prem. Lord Chaitanya is, well, Radha and Krishna, they're one Atma, Ek Atma. They are one. They separate for the sake of ecstatic pastimes, seemingly. They, of course, they're always together, but they separate so that they can have these pastimes of meeting and separation. And they've come together again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Kali Yuga is known as the Yuga without any avatar. Even though Kalki comes, he's a Leela avatar. He's not the Yuga avatar. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't come in every Kali Yuga. Only after a very long time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come. So he's known as the Gupta avatar, hidden. And he's original, like Govinda Krishna, Adipurusham. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. So he is the original personality of Godhead, just like Krishna. Other avatars, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, these are not original, they're coming from Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna in such a way that the other avatars, they wouldn't show their any other form except the form that they were in. Nrsimhadev didn't show his universal form, but Krishna did. Krishna showed his Virat Rup to Arjuna. He showed his four-armed form to Devaki and Vasudeva. And like this, so did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He showed his Nrsimhadev form to Nrsimhananda. He showed his universal form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he showed his Rasaraj Mahabhav form to Roy Ramananda. In this way, he's original. So we can worship Gaur-Nitai, and we're automatically worshiping Radha Krishna. But if we try and worship Radha Krishna without any connection to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we'll actually be very far away from Radha Krishna. And of course, every avatar comes with their holy dham, their associates, their and their astra, their weapon. And what is the weapon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That is Harinam. And in this way, he fulfills his promise. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he comes to annihilate the miscreants, to protect the devotees, and to reestablish Dharma. And Harinam actually fulfills all of those, because he, as Lord Chaitanya, he doesn't annihilate the miscreants in the same way, because in other yugas, the asuras are far away. They're the devas and the asuras. They came to churn the ocean of milk. They came from different planets. Or Ravana was from Sri Lanka. It was from Lanka. Or the Kauravas and the Pandavas were in the same family, but they were different sides of the same family. But in Kali Yuga, both the Deva and Asura tendencies are within both within all of us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu annihilates those demoniac tendencies within us through Harinam. And not only that, he is giving the highest prem. He is giving what no other avatar has ever given. He's supremely merciful. So in other yugas, even Krishna, he would protect the devotees, those unalloyed devotees. But he wasn't giving Krishna prem freely. He was giving bhukti and mukti, material opulence and liberation, according to how the devotee, the qualifications of that devotee. And he reciprocated in kind, exactly the amount that they worshipped him, that he would give. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving everything, the highest Unata Ujjvala Ras, he's giving to everyone, anyone. He's filling that cup. And if you don't have a cup, he's also giving the cup. He's giving to everyone. And through the holy name, he's intertwining that holy name with prem and garlanding the whole world. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who he is. One of the first reasons he came is because of his karuna. And we know in Krishna consciousness that everything is personal. So karuna is personal. And he gave free rein to his own karuna, means compassion and mercy. He gave free rein and said, you can go anywhere and everywhere. Give to the antagonistic people. Krishna didn't do this. When Krishna went to Mathura, there was the washerman, the cloth seller, and the flower vendor. And he reciprocated to them all in a different way, depending on their own qualifications and how they interacted with him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving to everyone. And he's giving free rein to this karuna, this compassion, this mercy, and allowing her to spread everywhere, to the antagonistic, to the apathetic, to the unalloyed devotees. He's giving the highest braj prem to everyone. And so what does it mean by braj prem? I'll come back to that. So this is the one reason, because of his own karuna, his own compassion, he has to come here. Of course, he's establishing the Yuga Dharma. This is the prescribed method for self-realization in the age of Kali, is Harinam. But the internal reasons that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came are that Krishna had only experienced, Krishna is the cause of all causes, but he had only experienced prem as the object.
Just 1 minute, Shampri. There's some background noise. Navalatika, maybe you could mute that person. There's some.
Okay, let me
muted.
check. I don't see any mic that is on, actually.
Okay, I don't know where it's coming
Sorry,
from.
I think it might have been the people in my house. My husband and my son get ready for school and work.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
So he came because he had only experienced prem as the object. But he, although he's the cause of all causes, he saw that Srimati Radhika had something even higher. And he wanted to understand what is the reason, how is she experiencing more ecstasy than I am? Well, and he wanted to understand the length and breadth, the unlimited nature of Srimati Radhika's prem. He wanted to taste that prem for himself, to understand what it is and taste his own sweetness. He came for these reasons. Once Radharani had a dream. We talked about, we showed this in the play, and Charu was Radharani. She had a dream that she saw this golden figure. She knew that it was Krishna, but he was chanting the names Kri and Shna, like this, 2 syllables constantly. And he was rolling on the ground. He had her complexion, her golden complexion. And he was in the highest Mahabhav. And she said, I don't understand where you begin and where I begin. Or is he me or is he you? There it is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is both Radha and Krishna combined. So he came to teach by his own example how to love Radha and Krishna. And he took sannyas so that people would take him seriously. But of course, from the very beginning, he was distributing Krishna prem to everyone. And how did he distribute Krishna prem? He has given us this Braj prem, as I was saying. He's not just giving general prem or any liberation. He's giving Braj prem, and that Madhurya Ras. And for us, what does Madhurya Ras mean? It doesn't mean that we are enjoying with Krishna. It means that just like a servant can go into the most exclusive party with their mistress, it means that we are going everywhere with Srimati Radhika, serving her and having the opportunity to serve in a way that seemingly we're helping to facilitate the meeting of Radha and Krishna. This is the aim. This is a very, very high thing. As Paliyadasis in our eternal Swarup, that we should be Paliyadasis. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. And how is he giving? Rupa Manjari is Rupa Goswami in Chaitanya Lila. And Rupa Goswami is showing us actually revealing the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as the holy names have been infused with all the transcendental potencies of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, Rupa Goswami has been infused. He is called the Priya Svarup. He is the embodiment of the most beloved everything of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Rupa Goswami is showing exactly how to actually approach this subject. He and Sanatana Goswami, they excavated Radhakund and Shamakund. They all the Leela places of Vrindavan, and in the same way, they're excavating these places in our hearts that we can understand. Oh, that we can actually see the true holy Dham. Once I was in Mathura with Gurudev, and we're sitting listening. He's on the Vyasasan, and he looked at everybody. He looked For a good 20 seconds, he was looking at each and every person. And, sorry. After 20 seconds, he said, most of you are sahaja. And what does this mean, sahaja? It means trying to jump. Another time, Gurudev was saying this in Australia. He said, so many devotees, especially lady devotees, they will want to meditate on Astakalya Lila, meaning meditating on the intimate pastimes of the 8 times of the day. Radha and Krishna have specific intimate pastimes at different 8 times of the day. He said, but they don't understand Upadeshamrita. They don't know Upadeshamrita. So they're trying to jump. Don't try and jump like this. So we must know these 11 verses of Upadeshamrita. It's very important. So that we can actually be qualified to get this highest prem that Rupa Goswami is distributing to us. So we can read the books of Rupa Goswami and understand all these intimate pastimes that he's giving. There's so much nectar there, and he is Rupa Manjari. And when we finally do come to that stage of experiencing our Swarup, that will be through the mercy of Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami. So it's very important. We're in the Rupanuga line. Everyone in our line is a Palyadasi. Srila Prabhupada and all of our line, they're all Manjaris. Manjari means that the gopis are eternally 13 and a half, around that age. All of them are around the same age, around 13 and a half. But Manjari, they are about 11 years old. And so they're assisting. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. This such sweet Braj Prem. This is the pinnacle of what he's giving. And the Maha Mantra. So for instance, the Gayatri Mantra, our Gopal Mantra, our, as ladies, we don't chant the Bhurabhuva, but the Gopal Mantra, the Kam Gayatri, are these mantras. They are, Gurudev described them to be like the water, the fire, and the pot. And Harinam is the sustenance, the rice. So our Gopal Mantra, our Kam Gayatri, they help cook that, ripen it so that we can eat it and digest Harinam. But Harinam itself, even in that stage of Braj Prem, in that form of Manjari, we're chanting Harinam. Kirtan, Harinam Kirtan is even in the Kunj, as we can see. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give, this very, very highest thing. So we should understand our line as Rupanugas and just try and chant offenselessly and pray to our Guru Varga, and everything will eventually be revealed. It may take some time, but because we've met a pure devotee, it's inevitable, unless we make offenses to the pure devotees. It's like Gurudev used to say that if a starving man has been out in the forest without anything to eat, and then he's presented with a giant feast, from that very first bite, he's getting relief. So in that way, we're already getting some relief because we have been in contact with a pure devotee. And just the more that we partake, the more full we will become. Shraddha is an atomic particle of praying. So if we can come to the level of faith, then we're getting that atomic particle. And it will grow from there. The more that we develop our Sukriti, the more that we associate with devotees, then our praying will go from that dormant stage, sprout and grow and blossom under the guidance of the pure devotees. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, that was so nice. Wow, thank you so much, Shama Praditi. Very, what's the word? Oh, God. Very, you've covered like so many points, and yeah, I'd like to just reflect on some of those points. So like you said in the beginning, very, very important subject. The reasons for why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And Gurudev really wanted us to understand this. It's a very deep subject matter, and it's not even so easily understood. If we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, sometimes we can miss these subtle points that you mentioned. So it's very important. So first you mentioned, of course, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Badayate, this very famous verse by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad about the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he's Mahavadanyaya, that he's most magnanimous because he's giving Krishna Prem. And you mentioned also Shri Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikruti Ladini Shakti Asmat, how Radha and Krishna are one, but they've separated to perform very beautiful, loving pastimes. And of course, this, we've come in this Kali Yuga, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar. And other avatars, it's very clearly understood that they are they are coming, when and where, everything. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the hidden incarnation. So it's not so easy to understand, but it was actually Rupa Goswami and others especially that revealed the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you were telling about how Mahaprabhu revealed his root, that he's Krishna himself, and he revealed that, but not so open. He revealed that he's the original, the origin, that he's directly Krishna himself. And he showed different incarnations, like he showed his Nrsinga Roop to Srivas Thakur. He showed Rasaraj Mahabhav to Ramananda Roy. But what did he come to give? He came, of course, what he came to distribute was this Harinam Sankirtan. He came imbued with Braj Prem, and of course, he was giving this Krishna Prem to one and all without discrimination. And you also mentioned how, Krishna is very merciful, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even more merciful, because Krishna didn't openly give Krishna Prem, although, it said Krishna is very merciful. That according to their surrender, Krishna will give, he'll reciprocate accordingly. But Mahaprabhu, on the other hand, he doesn't even see our qualification. When he came, he was not considering qualification at all. He was just giving, and giving the container. Even, you know, someone's not qualified, okay, I'll give you a container so you can collect this praying that I'm giving. And yeah, you made very, very nice points. You mentioned about the reasons Mahaprabhu's coming, how Krishna was contemplating, you know, his that's actually what is Srimati Radhika tasting, what I myself cannot taste. So Radhika's tasting Krishna's sweetness and what she's experiencing through tasting that sweet, the four sweetnesses we know. And Krishna was amazed how much bliss she's experiencing, that he wanted to experience that also, that love of Srimati Radhika that's so deep and like an ocean that we cannot fathom the depth. So like this, and you explained, of course, the dream that, you know, we did in that drama, and how Krishna showed that to Srimati Radhika, and how he came, took sannyas, and of course, after taking sannyas, you know, how he reciprocated with his associates, especially Rupa Goswami, who is Rupa Manjari, and what he revealed in his heart. And it was a really nice point that you made, how that the Mahaprabhu told the 6 Goswamis to find the lost holy places, and in doing so, in Braj they excavated and like this, and they're also excavating our hearts and really giving us what Mahaprabhu wanted to give, that he didn't give directly, but he gave through especially Rupa Goswami. So, and also very nice point you made about how, you know, Gurudev said, actually, most of us are, you know, sahaja. We have that tendency. And, you know, many, especially women, many devotees, they want to jump, and they want to jump and taste the fruits, so to speak, of this Astakaliya Leela, but they don't even understand Upadeshamrita, which is what Rupa Goswami gave. And this is so important instructions there. And if we don't follow Upadeshamrita, actually, how can we even enter bhajan? So, you know, very, very important to first follow Vacho Vegam, Manaso Krodha Vegam, and all these instructions to control our mind and senses and all these things. So, and then you mentioned about, of course, what Mahaprabhu came to give, an arpita chumtrat kunaivatano kalos mahapaitan unato dvala rasam svabhakti shriyam, that this unato ujvala rasam svabhakti shriyam, Mahaprabhu came to give this manjari bhav, and you know, even to the most fallen, this is a very, very rare treasure that he was giving. And of course, Gurudev said many times, if we're coming in this line, we're likely to have that swarup, and that we will get that eventually. And yeah, many nice points you made about, you know, how by practicing this bhakti, that Gurudev said, even a starving man, if he's starving in the forest and he's you know, really hungry, wanted to eat, if he comes out and he gets something to eat, then oh, so much nourishment will come, the hunger will be dissipated, and also so much strength will come. So by following this process that Mahaprabhu came to give, that Rupa Goswami established, then definitely we will be so much nourished, and we'll eventually get that. So thank you so much, Shampriya Didi. Very, very nice points you made, and it's always refreshing to hear them again and again. And and you made some really good points that, you know, it's good to digest and practice in our life, you know, so thank you. And if anyone has any questions, they can ask at the end. I hope you can stay around for that. You'll be here, did he? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so now, thank you so much. Kamala Didi, she's there. I just wanted to quickly introduce her. So she met the devotees on the festival circuit in the year 2000. Yeah, she was, I think you were traveling the festivals, I don't know, selling things with Madhava Prabhu, I think at the time. Yeah. And then she met devotees at that time in the year 2000. And then shortly after, you went to India.
Met you as well, Charu, I think, then.
But in India.
At a festival there, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I was doing festivals. Yeah. And Ashram Raj and others with it.
Yeah, Ashram Raj, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, you were, I remember, kind of hippie, like Gurudeva said. Prabhupada make hippies into happies, and Kamala Didi, you know, was the next wave. So anyway, next wave of hippies. So anyway, she went to India to meet Gurudev in September of that year, 2000, and took initiation then. You took Harinam and Diksha then, was it?
Just Harinam, then Gopani, yeah, Diksha.
Following Gopani in 2001, okay, took Diksha. And then Gurudev instructed her to start a preaching center in 2003. And, you know, shortly after that, she and Sita Didi started Ganga Mata Gaudiya Mat, or the Ganga Matas for short, and they've been doing that ever since, which is really amazing. That, you know, many people start projects, start centers, but it's so easy to maintain, right? There's always so many obstacles, but Kamala Didi and all the Sita and all the girls, they maintained, and not only maintained but flourished actually, by doing so many programs and inviting so many traveling preachers, and you know, for many years since then, and even, you know, branched out to Brazil or Philippines, different countries. And yeah, now we branched out to the north of England. Your compassion is reaching far and wide to the northerners. Of course, we're both northerners, isn't it? You're from where are you from originally?
Up north, Rotherham.
Rotherham. Give a shout out for Rotherham.
Rotherham United.
And yeah, I'm from Liverpool, so yeah. Anyway, so now, yeah, she's her and Sita Didi and all the girls are there in Skegness. started a royal community in November of 2020, and yeah, how's that going?
Yeah,
Going well?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's we've got lots of ideas, so it's a bit of a work in progress, but it's just starting. But we've got ideas to do some retreats and invite everyone to come for festivals and stuff.
Fantastic, great. Yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, Didi, so yeah, floor is yours. And you're going to speak on, was it Raganuga and Rupanuga Bhakti?
Right. Yeah. How long should I?
Well, yeah, you can speak up to half an hour, 30 minutes.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, cool.
Warmly welcome, Didi. Thank you. Okay,
Haribol. Before I speak, I should say that maybe about 2010, one Didi came over to me in Govardhan and said, "Are you Kamala Dasi?" And I said yes. And she was actually a very senior devotee, female devotee. And she said that one time Gurudev instructed her to go and preach everywhere. Gurudev said she was very qualified, she should go preach. She said, no, I don't feel qualified. I'm not ready. Then Gurudev said to her, well, Kamala Dasi, she she doesn't know anything, he said, but she goes all over the world and preaches. So with that in mind, please don't mind if I take this subject matter, Rupanuga Raganuga Bhakti, and I will, I'll start from here. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Again, it's Miranda.
It's a very good subject matter. It's a brilliant subject matter. Very favorite of Gurudev's.
Right. Thanks. Omagana Timaranda Ganandana Salake, Chaksura Milikandina, Tasmaishi Guruvena. So, for speaking off of my Sasat Dandavat now, Shilga's Lotus Feet. And if I have time, really, I'd like to read something directly that Gurudev spoke on this when questioned from Bhakti Jivanjanardhan Maharaj. And I found it, of course, he's got it absolutely perfect description of Rupa Raganuga Bhakti. So hopefully I can read that for everyone at the end. Where I'd like to begin maybe is from where I see the start, which would be Shraddha. So there's two types of Shraddha. I'm just repeating this to help me remember myself. So I'm glad for this opportunity. So there's two types of Shraddha. One is Lokik or Kama, and this is like a soft or pliable faith. What we're more interested in is when that bhakta becomes fully surrendered. He's following all the limbs of Sharanagati externally, and internally this faith has become paramatmik, means fixed transcendental faith. And this faith is also in two. Actually, Srila Swami Maharaj called this Shraddha Devi, which I thought was very, very sweet. And he said Shraddha Devi has these different characteristics. One is Vidimarg, or by following the rules and regulations. And the other one is this Rag, or this spontaneous devotion. So from this spontaneous devotion, there is a desire to please Krishna, to have this spontaneous attachment to his service. So this is Rag. So the question that Gurudev proposed actually was, actually, so it was a statement really. And what Gurudev would say is that all Rupanuga are Raganuga, but not all Raganuga are Rupanuga. This is like Gurudev had quite a few kind of almost catchphrases that he kind of instilled in us, I think, injected into us like a sutra. But if you start to unravel these sutras, you realize that everything is like a sutra is, everything is contained within that. So this statement, I started to become intrigued, interested when Charu asked me, would you like to speak something? I started to mull this over in my mind. And I started to think about it a bit more deeply. So if we have a look a little bit at what is this, go on from that rag and understand what is ragatmik and what is raganuga. So ragatmik is those personalities who are really from Vrindavan, from Braj, who have this spontaneous service mood to please Krishna within their heart, within their Atma. They have this rag, so they are ragatmik. Okay, and then those bhaktas that have awakened that desire to also have that mood, a greed has come, then those personalities are anuga. Rag anuga means they want to follow those personalities, ragatmik jan. Okay, so that could be in any of the rasas, dasya, sakya, vatsalya, madhurya. Gurudev is concentrating more and more specifically on the moods of Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari. And those personalities that are attracted to those specific moods, those moods that are serving Srimati Radhika, knowing her inner heart's desire, which is Rupa Manjari, they are called, the followers of those moods, who desire those moods within their heart, are Rupanuga. Okay, they are Rupanuga. So they're following externally Rupa Goswami's teachings, and internally they're following the moods of service that he displays as Rupa Manjari. Okay, so not everybody is Rupanuga. Not all Raganuga are Rupanuga. For instance, Gurudeva would say Bilva Mangala Thakur is not Rupanuga, he's Raganuga. Or even Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda were intimate associates with Rupa Goswami, but they were not Rupanuga. Actually, Lalita, Vishaka, Yashoda Mata, they are all Ragatmik anyway. They are all originally in Nitya Siddha, eternal associates. But what he's showing us actually is that it's specific. Not everybody is following Rupa Goswami and Rupa Manjari. It's a very, very specific line, and we'll get on to find out why that is, what those moods specifically. But even a person could be reading the books of Rupa Goswami. They may be reading Upadeshamrita, they may be reading Ujjval Nilamani, but they are still not followers of Rupa Goswami. They're not Rupanuga. So this is important to appreciate, that a person that has an awakening of a desire, a greed coming within the heart to follow specifically Rupa Goswami, what would they need to do? So that personality would, appreciating those moods, hearing from that Rasik Vaishnava who has those moods within his heart, who has that greed, then they would search out and deeply desire to find those moods in the Shastra. And interesting enough, Gurudeva even gave the example of those moods could be in Krishna Karnamrita, which is by Bilva Mangala Thakur, and he's in Sakhi Bhav, he's not in Manjari Bhav. But that Vaishnava who has this mood of service to Rupa Manjari can find those moods. So this is why it's really important that we come under guidance of that type of bhakta who is Rupanuga. And like Shama Priya Didi said, our whole Gaudiya Vaishnava line are all Rupanuga. Okay, so they are all they all have this same mood. So therefore, why is it important to be Rupanuga? Why is this Gaudiya line Rupanuga? Or Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapita Miyana Bhutale, saying in this famous verse that I'm praying to Rupa Goswami, who has understood the Manobhishtam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's understood his inner heart's desire. He's understood, he has got a Vishamba bhav, a mood of intimacy with his inner heart. And Gurudeva gave some nice examples of that. He gave the example of a father and his son. The son would be sitting by his lap, but he would have no worry to jump and sit in the father's lap, stroke his beard, or do sweet services to him, because he has this intimacy. So in the same way, a person that has got intimacy is able to do a much more intimate service. He's able to understand the inner heart of who he's serving. And so this is a celebration of Rupa Goswami, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chose him to give these topmost secret moods of within his heart, what he really wanted to establish in this world. So therefore, if we are not Rupanuga, we cannot understand what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So we're very lucky that we've fallen into this into this line, to be understanding what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give through the books of the Goswami, specifically Rupa Goswami. So with that, there comes a greed or a desire to follow Rupa Goswami. So this greed is our wealth. Because if a person gets this greed or desire, it doesn't matter his qualification. And this is great because we're in Kali Yuga and hardly we have any type, we will never have any qualification. But because Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati, those personalities that have this greed, they can give this greed. So we should go to them without delay and receive what they've come to give. This is our Gaudiya line. This is our Vaishnava line. So they have this mood, this greed within their heart. And they are giving this line. Now, the misconception, I think, is that people think, oh, I am Raganuga, rather. Therefore, I don't have to follow these limbs of bhakti. I don't have to properly offer my lunch. I don't have to. I think it's this kind of sahajism Gurudeva was stamping out, because actually, if somebody has real greed, then he will still follow all the example of this. He said,
you just froze. Can you just repeat what you just said? You just froze.
Okay. I was just saying about greed. I don't know if you got that part, but if a person, Gurudeva would explain that you would need to have a greed or a desire. So if you have a greed or desire, you have Raganuga, you think you have Raganuga Bhakti, it doesn't mean that you don't follow the rules and regulations. Okay, and I think that's what Gurudev really was trying to stamp out, this kind of sahajism, where I am thinking that I am perfected, so I don't need to follow rules and regulations. But we see the actual personalities who have this rag are still following all rules and regulations, all the limbs of bhakti. So there is, why Gurudev would give a nice example, can understand, is that if a man wanted to drink milk, then first of all, he would buy a cow. And then he'd make sure that that cow had a calf. And then he would, Gurudev said, he would wash the teat of the cow with water and ghee after the baby cow had drank the milk. And then, and then he would milk the cow. Okay, so there's a whole set of process there. It doesn't mean he's attached to the different points of that process, but he wants the result. So the Raganuga Bhaktas will follow all of the limbs of bhakti, but with this aspiration. So I think that's what I'm relating to, and I've been thinking about this. Am I following these rules and regulations to attain this goal of Rupa Nuga, to become a Rupa Nuga Bhakta? So I thought this is prevalent for me. Also, what other rules and regulations would he be following? Well, Gurudeva would give this, he gives 3 slokas where this one is within my mind. Krishna smaram janam chasya pestam nija samihitam tatakta vratasya so kuru basam braje sada. It's saying that these 3 practices are essential. Krishna smaran, remembering Krishna with his associates, so continuously speaking, conversing about their pastimes, and Kuru Basam Braje Sada, always residing in Vrindavan. Well, they give a little exception, if not by body, by mind. But I think if you're practicing by mind, finally the body will follow you. In any case, which places should we be residing in Braj, by mind or there? Is these Rasik places of the pastimes that Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari is serving in, like Sevakunj, like Sanket, like Javat, in these places. maybe Radha-kun, all the different places where these very rasic pastimes are taking place, and absorbed in this Krishna Smaran, then he spends all day there. Okay, he has that conviction. And what kind of Smaran did Gurudeva speak? Well, he would very beautifully speak about wonderful Krishna in his Tribanga Lalit with golden pitamba and playing the flute and Bamsi back, calling all the gopis koti koti. But then from the corner of his eye, he is looking for one particular gopi. And when she comes, then Rasa Lila can start. So that Raganuga Bhakta will be thinking of pastimes like this, and he will be praying to Rupa Manjari. What services are you performing at that time? And in that way, he progresses, and his greed progresses. And as his greed progresses, all of his anarthas are dissipated. He no longer has desire for the material world. And it's quite interesting. You might say, oh, but I am not, I haven't realized my Sthayi Bhav yet. So therefore, how can I know that I am Rupa Nuga? Well, Gurudeva would say that actually greed comes first. First, greed comes, and then the Sthayi Bhav is realized. So I find that also very intriguing about our process. We get a lot of slaps for being careful not to be working above our adhikar, jumping to the top of the tree. And at the same time, they're also pushing us to fix our goal. And from when the goal is fixed, then we can come back to Vajrayana Manasa Kula Veda, and we can start to practice sincerely. So I don't know where I am time-wise, but yes, great. So now I'd love to speak this, what Gurudeva was saying. One day, Srila Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Maharaj was very affectionately, Gurudeva speaking, said to me, tell me what is Shri Raganuga and Shri Rupanuga? Are they the same? Or does each contain a speciality? I have asked many Vaishnavas, but I was not fully satisfied by their answers. Gurudeva said, when I heard this question, at first I felt somewhat hesitant to give an answer. Before someone so well versed in Siddhanta. So he was feeling, because he was so much senior to him, he was feeling somewhat hesitant to answer that question. However, as he repeated, and upon the insistence of Pujapad Baman Maharaj's indication, I, like a student under examination, said, according to what I have heard from Sri Guru and Vaishnav, and from what I have understood from continuous study of Bhakti Shastras, my firm conviction is that if those who develop agreed to attain the beauty of the services and moods of the eternally perfect associates in Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Ras are described in the Rasa Shastras, Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjval Nilamani, and perform sadhan bhajan following the eternally perfected moods, Nitya Siddha Bhav, of one of those associates, out of longing to attain the beauty of those services and moods, they are called Raganuga Sadhak. However, those who have developed agreed to follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, his innate form, his swarup, engaged in serving Radha and Krishna, and accordingly, his eternally perfect and meticulous skill in performing Jugal Seva, his greater affection for Sri Radha Snehadika Bhav, as well as his other moods, and out of an ardent longing to attain the above stated moods, perform sadhan bhajan accordingly, they alone are Rupanuga Sadhak. As an associate of Sri Gaura, Srila Rupa Goswami has performed sadhan bhajan in his form as a sadhak, and in his pure spiritual form, Shuddha as Rupa Manjari. He serves Srimati Radhika in partiality to her. Only those who follow Sri Rupa in this way, in both of these moods, as Rupa Nuga. There is a special consideration in this regard. Every Rupa Nuga is Raganuga, but not every Raganuga is Rupa Nuga. So this is Gurudev's concise explanation and perfect explanation. And hearing this, Pujapad Maharaj, he became overwhelmed with emotion, and he said, "Today I have become extremely delighted to hear your deliberation on this. It is what I wanted to hear. Prior to this, no one has so clearly presented to me such a fully perfect and conclusive discernment on this topic." So I just thought, well, how wonderful it is. Sometimes we are so used to these topics. It's like I am a baby that was fed cream, and I have only lived on cream. I didn't know of any other. I was not in ISKCON. I was not even in any spiritual institution before. I just came from, like Chari said, like from the rave scene, went straight into taking cream, ambrosia. So very spoiled. But when I read such things, I think, well, look how amazing our Gurudev is, that he presented every single topic. It's such a wonderful idea that you've had to present Gurudev's Tattva Vichar, because nobody else was as perfect as Gurudev as presenting all these things, and so knew all these topics what he delineated and presented, and they had never been so clearly given, especially to the general masses, before. So this is the glory of our Guru. And I remember one senior devotee saying to me, we won't understand the glories of our Guru until at least 10 years after he's left this world, because in the same way, it's so spoiled, we don't realize in the full effect how phenomenal he is, and his conceptions so deep and pure. So I could, I mean, I would stop on that point. Ready.
Thank you so much, Kamala D. That was really, really very concise. You said the end, Gurudev gave such a concise definition, but you gave very, very nice and clear and concise, you could say, definition as well about Rupanuga and Raganuga Bhakti. So of course you started from the beginning, like you said, two types of Shraddha. One is Komal Shraddha, which is very soft, and that type of faith can easily be dismantled. That's not a good word. And then of course there's Paramatic Shraddha, which is transcendental, very firm faith, which cannot so easily be swayed. So you mentioned about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Of course, Shraddha is there in both. And what differentiates Raganuga Bhakti is greed, because in this Vaidhi Bhakti, there's a definite lack of that same greed. It's, following rules and regulations out of fear, and according to what it says in Shastra, the scriptures, you may go to hell and all these things, but if you don't follow. But with Raganuga Bhakti, then that greed is the driving force. So And of course, Gurudev made this very, very profound statement that all Rupanuga Vaishnavas are naturally Raganuga Vaishnavas, but not all Raganuga Bhaktas are Rupanuga Bhaktas. And, you know, we've heard this statement before, but, you know, it has very deep significance, as you mentioned, that, you know, those that Raganuga Bhaktas, for example, you gave the example of Viva Mangal Thakur. He's Raganuga, but he's not Rupanuga. And of course, Lalita Vishaka, who are came as Srup Damodar and Ramananda Roy. They were Raganuga Bhaktas, but they're not Rupanuga, following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. Of course, Rupa Goswami is in Lalita Gan, you know, the group of Lalita Devi. And but for us, it's what did Mahaprabhu come to give, which Shyama Priyadidi very nicely explained. And your both topics go so nicely together, because Mahaprabhu, he came to give this Unata Ujjvala Rasana Bhakti Shram, this Manjari Bhav. And Rupa Goswami, of course, was dearmost to Mahaprabhu, Shititanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, because he established what Mahaprabhu came to give in this world. He fully understood the heart of Mahaprabhu, so he was chosen to give to people of jivas of this world what Mahaprabhu wanted to give. And you know, you very nicely explained about what Raganuga Bhakti, you know, is a mood of great intimacy there, and gave the example about the child jumping in the lap of his father, and of course he has no hesitancy, and you know, this is a typical mood of spontaneous love, and that's not there in a Vaidhi Bhakta. You know, there's so much fear and hesitancy there. So how will we get this greed? The only way we can get this greed, which is the qualification for Raganuga Bhakti, Rupanuga Bhakti, is by following a Rupanuga and a Raganuga Bhakta, like our Gurudev. And you know, and of course Srila Prabhupada also. And you know, how that actually we can, you know, we may think that, okay, in following this Raganuga Bhakti, then no, we can just be spontaneous, no need to follow any rules and regulations. But I can, you know, yeah, just spontaneously you know, do the worship the deities, or, you know, when I like, or whatever, however I like, you know. But actually this isn't what, you know, what our previous acharyas have done. They're all Raganuga Bhaktas, and they actually gave the example of following nicely the rules and regulations. So it's very important that we do that. You made that very good point. And just like you gave the example of the cow, Gurudev said, you know, if you want to purchase a cow, then you have to purchase a cow with if you want to get milk, then you may want to purchase a cow with a calf. And, you know, there's a certain process of how to get, you know, some milk flowing and very nice quality milk by putting ghee on the teeth and all these things. So in this same way, that just simply follow the rules and regulations, but at the same time we can aspire to enter into Raganuga Bhakti. It's called Raganuga Pravritti. So the tendency to follow Vaidhi, but with the tendency to enter into Raganuga Bhakti. So, but of course, you know, even before we've established our Sthai Bhav, which is our permanent mood, in particular ras, then, first we can develop greed, and in this way we can get realization of Astaya Bhav. It's not the other way around. And you mentioned, of course, about the different verses that explain Raganuga Bhakti, but specifically Rupanuga Bhakti as well. Krishna Smaran Janam Chasha, how that the Vaishnava who's practicing Raganuga Bhakti, what will he do? He will want to, of course, meditate on the pastimes of Krishna, and specifically the pastimes of Krishna with those particular associates to whom he's aspiring to follow in their moods, like Rupa with aspiring to follow Rupa Manjari. Then, of course, internally and externally, Rupanuga means to follow Rupa Goswami externally, how he did bhajan, and internally, how he served Radha and Krishna in the form of Rupa Manjari. So, and then you gave that excellent definition in the end. Of it was Bhakti, who is it? Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, you asked Gurudev, yeah.
Yes.
So a very, very nice question, and Gurudev gave an excellent answer to what the difference is Rupanuga and Raganuga Bhakti is. And maybe you could post that on the chat for everyone to see. That would be really nice. Very beautiful definition. And of course, how, Gurudev said that we have to have that firm conviction to want to follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami externally, Rupa Manjari internally, and those who are Raganuga Bhaktas, then they may desire to follow Yashoda Mai, in Vatsalya Ras, or Madhamangal, or Subal, Sridham in Sakyaras, but that's only Raganuga, and to attain to those Ragatmik Jan, those who, and you explain the difference, of course, between Rupanuga and Ragatmik as well. So that they already they're eternal, Nitya Siddha Parikars, eternally liberated associates there in Goloka Vrindavan, and or elsewhere, and they have that naturally imbued greed, but those who are following in their footsteps are Raganuga. So anyway, the explanation, which I hope you'll post, and then everyone can see and meditate on that. And of course, Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, she said, "Wow, I've never heard such a concise and clear and perfect definition of the difference between Rupanuga and Raganuga Bhakti," which is really the speciality of our Gurudev, how he explained all these things so nicely. And of course, he gave us Jaiva Dharma, and in Jaiva Dharma, all these explanations are there by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Gurudev translated. And it's for us to really deeply meditate on them and aspire to enter into this Rupanuga line, Rupanuga bhajan, and and without the mercy of a Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnava, this is not at all possible. So it's very important to search, find, or they can, if we have that greed, they can find us and follow in their footsteps, internally, externally, in every way. So thank you so much. You gave such a nice talk, you and Shyam Priyadidi, thank you. Navalatika Didi, would you like to say anything in reflection of either Shyam Priyadidi or Kamala Didi?
I just want to thank both of them. Really, I'm really grateful. It was really wonderful and so enlivening, and makes me think that there is only the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his Karuna Shakti through our Parampara and through our Gurudev, that will make some advancement in our spiritual life. And of course, I'm just praying for their mercy to overcome my bad habits, my anarthas, my undesired things. And thank you very much for giving these lectures. And actually, there is one question here in the chat box that is from Sogata Bunia. And she's asking, but please explain sadhana bhakti too. So any of Didis can explain, Shamapriya Didi or Kamala Didi, if anyone wants to explain this sadhana bhakti, or Charuchandrika Didi.
Shamapriya Didi, do you want to say anything about that first? Or do you want to pass it over to Kamala Didi?
Sadhana Bhakti. Yes, that we're in this sadhana bhakti stage. We're actually not practicing bhakti. We're practicing to practice. So we're doing all these things. We're chanting, maybe for myself, chanting offensively still, but gradually, by the mercy of the pure devotees, we're following prescribed methods, practicing so that we can get to the stage of performing bhajan. So we're doing all these things, we're following rules and regulations, we're saying certain mantras at certain times, we're worshipping in this way, in this mood, with these visualizations, with these type of understandings from our Gurudev. And in this way, if we carry on with this sadhana, this practice, then eventually we can actually come to that stage of Raganuga in the line of Rupa Goswami. So this is my understanding. Somebody want to expand on that?
Kamala, would you like to expand on that?
I can say a little bit, maybe you can help me out on it. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavasa sadhana bida nityasidasya bhavasya prakritam vidhi sadhyata. Gurudeva would say to us that through the mind, body and senses, then we are performing these activities of bhakti to purify the chitta. And by this nitya siddha is inherent within us, but by these activities, with the aim and direction of achieving bhakti, then it will come out, awaken this our inherent nature as an eternal servant in one of these rasas. So this is a sadhan. I mean, a lot of us are doing sadhan abhas. We're not like Shamapriya Didi was saying. We have, because we are not following this verse. We're not appreciating and understanding what sadhan is. What is the goal? Because we're speaking about goal there, and there's sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, prem bhakti. So this, if you like, intermittent goal of Bhav is specifically there for us to attain through the faculties that we have right now of the body, mind, and senses. So with that goal in mind, we have to keep referring to, with all our activities, that we have the consciousness of what our goal is. And then we are doing sadhana. Otherwise, we're not doing sadhana. We're doing, possibly even we're doing karma. So it's really good, isn't it? Always essentially teach us to make sure that we know what we're doing, why we're doing, we're conscious of our activities. So
yeah, like you were saying, actually, I forgot to mention that Gurudeva always said, first establish the goal, because without first establishing the goal, then it's not even possible to perform sadhana bhakti. So what is the goal? For one who's practicing sadhana bhakti, the goal is bhav bhakti. So that verse, what you mentioned, Kriti Satya Bhave Satya Bhavasa Sadhanabhida. So that means that engaging one's mind and senses in the practice of the limbs of bhakti in order to attain bhav. So without that, like you said, we may be doing some kind of a bas, some shadow practice, or not even that. So very, very important. And you mentioned also, well, Nitya Suggestion Bhavashat means that prem is already established within the heart. So it's not that it's something that can be acquired from elsewhere. It's there, but by one's practice, and especially not really just by practice, but by mercy, yeah, by association with, like you mentioned, the Rupanuga Vaishnava, the Raganuga Vaishnava, then by his or her mercy that can come into the heart, and that already established prem can manifest. So yeah, that's why association is so important. And yeah, not that we just externally practice all the limbs of bhakti. Yes, we can be chanting, yes, we can be reading, studying, and we can be following a whole program, even in a temple or ashram situation. But unless we have that deep desire and greed to attain a bhav of one of the Nitya Siddha associates, specifically like Rupa Goswami, then we cannot possibly even attain the goal. We're not even practicing properly to attain the goal. So that's why
this is why it's so important, why Gurudev always stressed to us our prayojan and our goal, and why Lord Chaitanya came, why this was such an important topic, because otherwise we don't know the goal, we don't understand what he's giving us. So how can we take it if we don't even understand what he's giving us? So we need to, like you're saying, understand why Lord Chaitanya came, understand that we are Rupanuga and what that means. And in that way, then we can start to understand our prayojan and to actually be fixed in that way. Even at the beginning stages of sadhana, we should have that so that it becomes much more alive for us, and we can gradually develop that greed gradually by performing these limbs of bhakti, as you say, under the guidance of the pure devotee. So yeah, they're all of these things are so entwined together. All of these topics are so entwined together.
Yeah, definitely. And there's that verse that Gurudeva would often quote, that Srila Prabhupada also, this Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadeo Katipa Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Molyam Ekalam. So this lolyam, this greed, is the price that one can attain, you know, the association with a Rupanuga, Raganuga, Vaishnav, and by that association, you know, that Vaishnav is giving that greed. So he's giving that greed that we can enter into Raganuga Bhakti, Rupanuga Bhakti, like that. So did you want to, was there any more questions, by the way? Navalatika, did he?
I'm just checking this on Facebook, and we don't have questions there.
No. Okay. And here, I don't think there's any more questions, is there?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So was there anything else you wanted to add, Kamala, did he?
I was just thinking, would you say that performance of sadhana is awakening, allowing the Vaishnavas to give mercy, or is, you know, and mercy is independent? I was wondering, is there an interrelation with that, like by performing your activities, then that gets you more opportunity to have mercy? Do you get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in that verse, it's explained. Oh, what's the other verse? There's another verse. Nityasiddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabanoy. You know that verse? Nityasiddha Kabanoy. Shravanadi Sudichiti Karya Udai. So in that verse, it's explained that Prem's already there. It's an eternally established fact. It's there in the heart, but it only comes about by performance of sadhana, but it's not actually by performance of sadhana, but only performing sadhana under the guidance of Rupanuga, Raganuga, Vaishnav, and by when he or she sees our intense endeavors and that greed to want this goal of Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, Manjari Bhav, then he will bestow mercy, and it's by that mercy only. So it's not by sadhana, it's really by mercy, but the mercy won't come unless we perform sadhana. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the sadhana is showing how much we want it, in a sense, because actually in this age, you know, who can really perform perfect sadhana, you know, perfect Vaidhi sadhana, you know, like that, Raganuga. You know, it's not so easy. And, you know, Kali Yuga, so many distractions, things. So we're following the Guru's instructions, which is to follow the path of sadhana bhakti. And in doing that intensely, then the mercy comes, and by that mercy we can, that bar will gradually manifest. Like that's my understanding anyway.
Okay, yes, I appreciate that understanding. I just think I'm coming a lot across a conception which is kind of, oh, do what you can, no need to push yourself, this kind of relaxed way to look at doing bhakti. I'm coming across this quite a lot with different devotees now, and I was just wondering, you know, that isn't really the advice that our acharyas are giving. What I'm hearing from you is that they're saying just push it. I think there's a saying that, like, either I'll become rich or I'll die trying. There's one materialistic thing. So I feel that this is really what the Vaishnavas are saying in this respect, from what you're saying, that you just push through, do your best. That's it, isn't it?
I mean, if you look at if you look at the way Gurudev performed his bhajan, and I mean intensely, for how many, I don't know, his whole life, but from when he joined in his early 20s and, till the time he left this world, his practice was very intense, and it was, the time he went to Govardhan, it was performing so deep bhajan at that time, and really chanting many, maybe 2-3 lakhs, I don't know how many lakhs of rounds he was chanting, and doing Govardhan Parikrama every day, and doing all the astakams and praying and crying and like this for mercy. But that mood was maintained throughout Gurudev's whole life in practice of this Raganuga Bhakti. So he was showing us, this is if you really want this, which is so rare, it's Srila Prabhupada encouraged, he said, okay, in one life you can attain this, but in reality to attain it in one life, I mean, wow, you have to go all out, basically, and not just all out, but really under the guidance of your bhajan shiksha guru or diksha guru, like this. It's like Rupa Goswami said in Upadeshamrita, the 8th slok, Tanama Rupa Charitadu Sikirtana no Smritjo Kramena Vasna Manisina Yoja, that 24/7, continuously without break. But sometimes we may hear that and we think, oh no, it's impossible. But actually what makes it possible is association, but association with those high class Rupanuga, Raganuga Vaishnavas. That's what makes it possible, because they're showing us, and it's their encouragement, inspiration, and mercy that will push us beyond our limits. It's like even in ordinary material life, if someone's training to be a gymnast or a dancer, then they have to do hard training. We may look and say, wow, that's so nice what they can do, but we don't know how many years they've trained for that and how hard and rigorous training they've gone through. So in the same way, we may see a Vaishnav and we may think, wow, he's practicing so nicely, or he's showing so nicely, how to do bhakti, how to do bhajan, but we don't know in how many previous lives he's practiced like that and really made intense endeavors. And under guidance, of course.
There's a question here by Mukunda Das from Germany. He's asking, how can I push if he's asking how can one push if he's sick? So there's a few different points, and like you're saying, we need to know our prayojan, and we need to see the highest pinnacle of what is sadhana and what way. And at the same time, we need to, I understand what Kamala Dasi is saying, that, it's not about being lackadaisical, but at the same time, we have to start where we're at and be steady with it. Whatever we're doing, be very steady with it and increase. And Gurudev, when he initiated me, he said, he gave me my beads. I'd only met him for a few weeks before I got initiation. And he said, you should chant 64 rounds. And I said, Gurudev, I usually only chant 16. And I was like, oh, Gurudev's given this really intense thing. And he said, you can chant as many as you like, but always try and chant more. So he wasn't giving a fixed thing, but he was saying, just try and do a little bit more, a little bit more. So whatever you're doing, be fixed. And also very important to take the mercy of Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi is giving us the holy Dham, and she is a Vaishnava. So if we're not in the association with Vaishnavas, Srila Bharati Maharaj, he stressed this to a few of us, that you must take the shelter of Tulsi Devi, circumambulate Tulsi every day. He said 4 times a day, just go around 4 times every day. If you're sick, then at least once. So you did mention, if you're sick, at least once, circumambulate Tulsi. And you don't even need to have Tulsi as a plant in your house. You can have a picture of Tulsi Devi and circumambulate Tulsi every day. I mean, and just do something every day, do it steadily and stay with that and try to increase. And associate with the pure devotees as much as you can in whatever way that you can. So always praying to have that association, and especially when you're circumambulating Tulsi Devi, you can pray to be staying in the holy Dham in your heart and to have the association of the pure devotees. So always pray in this way. And of course, Harinam is a panacea. It cures all our physical, mental, spiritual diseases. But we can't always, we have to understand that other people have a different body, a different mind than us. So you can't judge other people on the level that they're doing. And when the pushing comes, it comes from ourselves, not from outside influences forcing us, feeling pressure, shaming us. That shouldn't be what it is. It's coming from our own greed and our own desire to serve Gurudev. And that little bit of, always try and do a little bit more, and always try to be enthusiastic to serve the Vaishnavas. If anybody can, if there's any service to do, then be enthusiastic to serve the Vaishnavas. And that's all that we can do, is try and do that little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And of course, we need to, like you're saying, go all out. And Gurudev always gave us the very highest pinnacle of everything to show what is possible, what is actually there. But at the same time, he would say, just add a drop of Krishna, just add a drop of Krishna, and it colors everything. It's like food coloring, it'll color everything. And just be where you are, be steady with that, give a little bit more, and always pray for more association. And in that way, gradually build up, your body is sick, but in this way you can come to that stage by the mercy of the Vaishnavas.
Also, it was very, very nice points that you were making, Shampriya Didi. And I was also thinking 2 things when you were talking, that externally, we may think that we're limited in what we can do. But sometimes it can happen that even someone put this really funny experiment. Vichitra Didi, she shared this experiment. It was it's to do with a rat who was it saying that it was like someone put a rat in water, some kind of thing, and the rat was drowning, and then someone saved the rat after 25 minutes or something, and then the rat was like, oh, okay, some relief, I'm saved, life And then they put the rat back in the drowning water, and that rat, who had just almost given up the will to live, and you know, that it couldn't struggle anymore, and it was just about to die after, you know, just around 25 minutes. Then when the rat went back inside the water, then the rat went on for, I can't remember, it was something ridiculous, like 35 hours. So what was interesting, I mean, it's not a nice experiment. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. But, you know, the point is that the fact that that rat in the beginning, when the first time the rat was tested like that, it could, you know, was about to give up its life. But the second time, when the rat had an idea that he could live, he could survive somehow, then that rat went on for many, many hours. My point is that sometimes we think there's bodily limitations, and there may be, and definitely, you know, in my case, I've definitely experienced after I had a heavy road traffic accident, yeah, for sure. But at the same time, sometimes we can, by desire, we can push through, and that's for anyone, you know. That's there. On the other hand, we shouldn't push our bodies too much as well, because, you know, we're not like, at least I know for myself, I'm not like the Goswamis who can go without eating and sleeping, and if I tried, I'd just collapse, you know, I'd die probably. So, you know, obviously we have to kind of know, yes, in a sense we have got limitations, but on the other hand, we can get mercy where we can push through, but not to push ourselves to the point where we get sick. And also internally, that, you know, there's no limitation internally, and actually, you know, although we could do all kinds of services externally, you know, which, you know, we've seen many devotees do amazing services, opening temples or publishing books, or so many books. You know, we've seen so much amazing services amongst what seem like ordinary devotees, but, you know, what they could do by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas. However, really, we want to get to a point where internally we can really become absorbed in Harinam, and get this greed of our internal practice, that we can really enter into these pastimes, as you mentioned, or Kamala Didi mentioned, these very sweet pastimes that Gurudeva was giving us. And he was giving us with this purpose. He wanted that we at least try to enter into, not artificially, not you know, not in a like a sahaja way, but at least want to, you know, and endeavor for that internally. So there's no limitation internally. You know, literally you can sit the whole day and chant or read like this, and this is service also. So not to forget that. Anyway, I don't know if Kamala Didi, sorry, I should have let you speak before me, but if you wanted to add anything.
No, I'd just like to say I'm really grateful for both of your association and what you're saying is really. I was just reading in class last night, and it was saying that there's like 7 different materials, I think, that you can make the takaji out of: stone, like even like jewels and paint and metal, stuff like this, and sand and what have you. And also by mind,
You keep freezing, Kamala.
it is accepted.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
I was just saying that we were in class, like, that there's like that the deity can be made from, including stone, like marble, paint and sand and rubies or jewels, and the mind. So the mind is one of those things that you can make the takaji from. So in that in that aspect, Gurudev used to always push us towards Manasi Seva also. I mean, like he would say, like you can just do like simple meditations. And he said that it's not sahaja if you are remembering the words of your guru who is realized in those things. Right. So I think that sometimes Krishna may have put you in a situation, you probably can relate that yourself, that you are unable to do so many physical things, but that is not necessarily negative, but that is because they are kind of forcing you in a way, cutting off your options so that you will go internally. So I think it's good to be positive about any situation that you're in. Maybe it's like that, you know, that your health is restricting you in a lot of physical ways because they want you to go more internal.
Yeah, you make a bad, what is it? Make a what's that saying? Something use bad bargain. What is it?
The best of a bad bargain.
Yeah, best use. That's it. Best use of a bad bargain. So you might think your body is a bad bargain, and you know, in general sense, for most people, it is a bad bargain, and especially if you've got some particular disease or any type of physical ailments. You know, they could be big obstacles, but at least, like Kamala Didi said, and you know, we can really try to enter into the moods that Gurudev is giving us, that Srila Prabhupada and all our Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Acharyas were giving us. So this is like, you know, it's so high, but it's so relishable. And yeah, I mean, we're so fortunate that we have this opportunity, actually, that we can, you know, they have agreed to give us. We just have to have agreed to accept and to really imbibe, you know. So anyway, okay. Thank you so much, Kamala Didi and Shama Priya Didi. Very, very nice talks, very brilliant topics. And yeah, these type of topics we could discuss on and on for hours and hours and days and weeks and months and years. So yeah, no, it's been great. So thank you so much.
One more question here.
Oh, there's one more question. Okay.
Okay, it says, Kamala Mata Prabhu, could you please explain how to understand that our health restricts us? Our health restricts us.
I'm not sure I understand the question. How does our health restrict us? Or what's the question?
Okay, maybe whoever asked that question was, I think it was Sulochan Prabhu. Maybe if he's ready, he could ask directly himself or explain it in the text a little bit more clearly.
I thought
he's he thought that you had said that our health restricts us. I mean, maybe you said it can restrict us. Maybe, I don't know.
Right. Maybe because I was saying like, if you have bad health, then you may feel like you may not physically be able to do so many services. Maybe he's looking at that point that if you have good health, maybe it's stopping you from doing more internal services. I think that it's important to get a balance. I know myself, sometimes I get run off my feet and I'm doing all kinds of services, physical services, and then my rounds get shifted to the side, you know. So I have to kind of like, I have to very much put my foot down with myself and say, no, that I first have to do my rounds, I have to do my this, then after I'll do my other services. Otherwise, I don't know if you find the same thing, but if you delay your Harinam, it's gone. It's like if I say, oh, I'm going to do my anik 1 minute later, then I'll lose that time. And that's how it's like a time comes for anik. If I say, oh, I'm busy right now, I'll do it in 5 minutes, I'll lose the time. So it's like an immediacy. So I think that, yeah, sometimes when I'm very busy myself doing many physical services, then I could lose that time. So I think that on either side, it might be difficult. So I think it's fine. Everyone's got to find their balance and obviously prioritize their mantras and their internal services, but balance it with physical service if it's possible. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, he said thank you, I think, right? He said,
yeah, I understand. Thank you, he said.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not so easy to get a balance. But, you know, you've got a lot of experience, Kamala, do you think, you know, running an ashram for so many years now. And yeah, I'm not in an ashram situation like that, but I always think that my Harinam is my priority, and I'll chant, you know, at least if I can, half my rounds before I do anything. And, you know, but I suppose, you know, we're all in different circumstances. And, you know, also Gurudev said one time that, you know, those who are doing Vishrambena Guru Seva will think that their Guru Seva is their first priority. So if Gurudev has told you to do certain service or services, then even you can put your Harinam aside for that. So yeah, there's many different angles, many different ways of looking at it. But yeah.
But like you said, that is Vishramba Seva, so that's very much high level service.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I just had
Yeah,
on the regard to greed and Raganuga Bhajan, I just heard Gurudev speaking, and he said a neophyte devotee will be in preaching thinking, oh, my Gurudev told me to preach, so I will do that. But he loses that opportunity to be in Braj, you know, because he doesn't have the greed to be there in reality. So in that aspect, you know, we're all at different levels that we need to ascertain what our level is, but then be looking up to have that opportunity to develop.
Sorry.
Oh, what happened there? Yeah, there was a Manini Radha Didi's asking, should we prioritize direct Guru Seva over Japa then?
It's just Mukunda here. It's just you want to imagine if you're waking up with pain and you get your injections 5 times a day, and you have to follow, and you try to follow, and you try to reach a goal or to be Radha Dasyam at least, and you try, that's your goal, and how does it fit with your sickness, and you try to reach that goal, and you have no association, and you're living with meat eaters in one flat, and had get rid of the influence of these bad people here, or how to say bad people, they are what they are. But if you're sick, it's like you like Don Quixote fighting with windmills every day. Imagine that. So just to mention, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm not sure what that last thing was, the donkey shot. I don't understand, but
I think he's meaning that he said something about
Don Quixote. It's sometimes known as Don Quixote.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you explain it, Manini Radha? What he said?
I mean, I just know a little bit of the story that he was fighting windmills, you know, which is kind of a, you know, pointless thing. I think that's what Prabhu was.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming, I'm not sure. Maybe he can explain more.
But it doesn't. I don't think that's his main point. The thing is that remember Gurudev used to always tell this story about the Brahmin and the prostitute. And she was always, the prostitute would see the Brahmin always reading Shastra, and she would, in her mind, in her heart, she was always praising that Brahmin. Even though she was in a deplorable situation, she was having customers come to her for sex life, and this was her situation. But even in that situation, she was always thinking about praising the Vaishnavas. She was praising Shastra. So in this way, in her mind and her heart, she was always having this mood. And in this way, the Vishnudutas came to take her, because she imbibed all those qualities of the Brahmin, and he was criticizing her, and of course he imbibed her bad qualities. So we should think, okay, we're in this deplorable situation, but always in our mind and in our heart be praising the devotees, and having some greed for their association and for their service. And even if that's the only thing we can do, we can be in so many deplorable situations, but if we can have that mood, then that will take us a very long way. So that prostitute was actually very exalted, even though she was in that situation.
Yeah, Gurudeva used to always say that to try is bhakti. To try is bhakti. So even if you're not physically able to do certain services, but you're trying and you're wanting, and internally, like Shyam Priya Didi said, having that greed, then that's still bhakti. You know, you're still performing bhakti. And
sorry, sisters, but that anime what Srila Rakshak Srila Maharaj said, slowly horse wins the race. So imagine you're in a situation when you only can practice slowly. Like said, I know this is my only chance to get something done. So sometimes in one lifetime, I will agree bhakti, be sevak of Srimati Radharani. But nowadays it's not possible. I'm just trying to come forward a little bit. And for me, this was a very, very wonderful, what my beloved Srila Rakshak Srila Maharaj said, slowly horse wins the race, because I have no other chance to go slowly. That's the way.
That's the way. He said that to you, then this is his message. And you, as I said, slowly and steadily. Just be steady in whatever it is you're doing. Just do one thing, do it very steadily, and circumambulate Tulsi. That's it. Just be very steady.
And yeah, it was a very nice point you made, Shyam Priya Didi, about the steady practice, because sometimes we think, you know, by performing steady practice, even with doing for so many years and nothing much is happening, but we don't know that, you know, what Guru and Krishna is seeing, even though we may have so many obstacles, but we're still trying. And then one day we might just have a flood of mercy, and, you know, miracles can happen. You know, it can be that physically we're able to do what we couldn't before, or internally we're able to really go deep, like we never did before, because of that steady practice over a period of months and years, and like this, you know.
And those people that you know, sometimes people didn't have association of Srila Prabhupada. They were initiated by Srila Prabhupada, but they had no association with Srila Prabhupada. But they would steadily, and even some of them fell away slightly, and their sadhana became less. But that steady mood was there, and they're still always praising the Vaishnavas. And maybe they were only doing a tiny bit, but then Srila Gurudev came, and they had so much association. Gurudev made sure that those devotees that didn't have a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada, they sat at the front with him, and they had lots of association. So this is like 30 years later, they were getting this flood of mercy from Srila Gurudev, and this can happen. There's always a pure devotee on the planet, and if we keep in our mind always a favorable and kind, this is another thing I actually meant to mention in my lecture, that we always have to have a mood of kindness towards Krishna, of course. Obviously, Kamsa is not a pure devotee, even though he's thinking of Krishna all the time, but also to the Vaishnavas and all other living entities. And we have that mood of kindness and that mood of always being like that prostitute in a humble mood and always praising the devotees, then that becomes the so much can happen from that, like you said, all of a sudden. And there's always a pure devotee on the planet, and we may get so much mercy from a pure devotee. We don't know, for us it looks like 20 years, 30 years, 50 years seems like a very long time, but the pure devotee sees such a they're broad-minded. Pure devotees are always described as being broad-minded and liberal, and so they see a very broad picture, and they can see that we will have that mercy at some point, and we will, we may have been many lifetimes, but that will come. And we've come in this line. It is inevitable, but eventually it's there. Just the only thing is we have to be very careful not to make offenses to the pure devotees. Otherwise, or anyone, we shouldn't make offense even to an ant, Gurudev would say. So in that way, if we can keep that mood, then so much mercy can come from that.
Right. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but it's getting a bit late. And Manini Radha Didi is asking, should we prioritize direct Guru Seva over japa chanting?
I'd just quickly, I'd like to say, first I just offer my pranam to Mukunda Prabhu, is it? That I've got a lot of respect for him, that even though he is suffering, I don't actually have this problems with my health, but at the same time I'm also quite lazy, so although he's suffering so much, his desire and endeavor is there, and I'm sure Krishna sees that, and maybe he may have to go through this life, I don't know, but I'm sure in your next life Krishna will arrange for you through that determination. So I'm really impressed. I was really impressed to see Charu under very difficult circumstances, it was very inspiring for me to see how she continued with bhakti. So I just like to pay my pranam there. And regarding should I prioritize my Guru Seva, I think our first Guru Seva is what Gurudev gave us, which is our mantras. He gave Nam. I remember when I first asked Gurudev, how can I serve you? The very first thing he said to me was a meditation about sitting by the Jamuna and chanting japa. Then because I was so neophyte, I couldn't quite understand what that meant. And then he went on to speak another thing. So I think that it is a service to chant, but to chant well. I mean, and maybe we don't have the capacity to do that in the beginning. So
Haribol, Didi, what I'm specifically asking, like I've been chanting, but then my Gurudev asked me to help while I'm doing some transcribing, for his book, and I'm finding that it's taking me a very, very long time. Sometimes, it's not so easy. And so I've been struggling actually between like trying to get that done to return to him and to also get my rounds in. And I had been prioritizing my japa,
Yeah.
and then it took me
Yeah.
3 weeks to do translation, you know, to do transcribing. And I just would love some guidance about like how to balance. I mean, I don't sleep that much as it is, but I'm not saying I'm the most productive and efficient, but just trying, you know, just trying to know how to best serve, you know. So if any of you have guidance about that, I appreciate it.
I know what the example is of, I think it was Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, who is also having difficulty, but then Prabhupada told him, I think he was sleeping 4 hours, and then I think Bhaktisiddhanta told him to sleep for 2. So I just don't think that really, if I try, I'm with you. All I can say, I'm with you. I'm also with this battle constantly of the guilt of not chanting as much as I want to, compared, and at the same time doing all these essential services that I've been requested to do. So it is a balance. So
yeah,
I pray for me, I'll pray for you. I'm like there. Okay.
Okay, Didi, thank you.
I know. I just want to say one thing about that as well. I remember Uma Didi. She would sometimes I would go to her and I'd say, "Oh, Uma Didi, would you like a massage or whatever?" You know, to try to offer some service in some way. And often she would say to me, "Oh, you know, if you chanted all your rounds." Yeah. So it was interesting, you know, and her mood is very much she'd get up like at 2. I've stayed in rooms with her before, and she'd get up like 2 o'clock in the morning, or I don't know, even earlier, and start chanting. So I just think personally, you can verify it with your Guru Maharaj Manini Radha Didi, but personally, I definitely think that to set yourself a goal of chanting a certain amount of rounds, if you, for example, if you're chanting 16 rounds every day, at least do half of that before you do any service. Or if it's 32 rounds, do at least half your rounds before you do any service.
Okay,
you know,
that's helpful.
If you're doing deity worship, I mean, that's Mangalati, that's, you know, of course, you know, in an ashram like with the Ganga matters, that's a little bit different maybe, but I mean,
but I do that. So like I get up and I do Mangal Arti, and I do, you know, I'm doing some form of that, and I'm just trying to chant 16 rounds consistently, and I am, but the seva suffers, you know what I mean? Like then I end up not necessarily, and I'm trying to improve the quality of my rounds, you know, not just to be like a machine, you know, like chanting.
I just want to mention something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just my experiences while chanting, that sometimes even in pain, I just have to get out, and even it's raining, I go into the train and ride a train, and 4 times around the city, and don't left the train before I got my rounds, because this is one thing, because sometimes when things come together, bad weather and pain and bad circumstances, and even you have to chance around, because it's the only thing at least we got. This is the only thing we got. We got Krishna's name, we got Harinam to chant our malis, and then we think, okay. So another experience, one very good girlfriend of me, she's not even, it's not possible for her to chant at all, because her nature is so kind of distracted, and she's not mad, and she's not crazy, but she has extremely difficulties to concentrate at all on one round, to sit 1 minute still there and chanting, like that, and she's crying and said, "Well, what can I do?" And I said, "Still, Gurudev's mercy is there, because Gurudev's invited you and instructed you, and he knows everything. Gurudev looking at you, looking at your forehead, and reading your own life, your whole life. So sometimes it's for some different natures of person very difficult to chant. So just try to continue. Krishna sees your endeavor every day. Gurudev sees your endeavor every day and is helping you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Thank you, Mukunda.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point too. So, you know, if it's difficult to chant because you've got so much Guru Seva, but at least aim to chant half your rounds before you even start. Like if it's what you're doing, transcribing or whatever it is. So, yeah. And Kamala, did you want to add something in a few minutes before we have to end?
No, just yeah, grateful for the opportunity and to listen to everyone and everyone's questions. And yeah, I'll tune in next time. I've actually also got to go because I've got the programs running here. Yeah. So,
right.
yeah, thanks so much.
Hey, thank you.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope you
thank
can visit
you.
us again, Shari, as well. You know, if you can make it out of Wales up to Skegness, you're really welcome.
Yeah, it's a long way.
Anyone, yeah, it's a long way. It's true.
Yeah. We try.
We try.
Okay.
Okay.
And you come to Wales sometime as well, if you can.
Okay, all right, maybe we will, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's plenty. I've got, you know, that wooden construction here, and plenty of space to stay inside, outside. So.
Okay, all right then. Yeah.
Having everything together.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So could
you hear from you both?
Sorry, what did you say?
I said it's been nice to hear from you both. Hare Krishna.
And thank you so much as well, Shampriya Didi. Very, very nice talk and discussion with everyone. And I just wanted to ask either you or Kamala Didi, could you lead us out with some Hare Krishna mantra? Whoever wants.
Did you do it? She's better at that.
Kamala Didi.
Unless you have to go.
I've got a kit. I'm running here already. It's a bit loud.
Okay.
It's a bit loud at ours at the moment. Don't know if you can hear that.
Maybe you could
bring us in.
I bring the kirtan in.
Bring it in.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Wait, I think they're halfway through a bhajan, but
okay. Nice.
Tambole, Okay, Haribo. Lots of love, everyone.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Haribo. Haribo. Bye, Didi.
Wait, I was I was muted. I was saying Kamala Didi Ki Jai, Ganga Mata Ki Jai, and Shama Priya Didi Ki Jai, and Navalati Didi Ki Jai. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Didis.
Ganga Matas ki joy. Joy Kamala Didi. Very nice piece. Very nice.
Haribo.
Jai. Thank you so much. Gurudeva Ki Jai.
June.
Charu Didi Ki Jai.
Bye.
Binda ki joy.
Okay. All right, we'll close here because it's very late now. Okay, thank you so much, Didis. Okay, so look forward to seeing you again next time. Okay, Shri Gurudev, Vani Vaishnavi, Prachar, Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Very nice.